Yeah, hello people. Welcome to the show again. Thanks for joining us. You're listening to me, Duggystone. Remember, we're not just local, we're freaking global. And today I've got a show special with an amazing lady called Jill Roberts. And as always, you're listening to me on... Oh yeah. Yeah, why don't you head over to newliferules.com. That's Jill's website. And obviously you'll listen to what she's got to talk about today. This has been sponsored by Jill. So thanks very much, Jill, for sponsoring this radio podcast special. And anyway, sit back, relax. Let's get on with the show. Let's find out a bit about Jill. Okay, people, so we're here again with a special podcast, and we've got a great individual with me today. We've actually just done a live radio show, which was really good, really interesting, and we're doing this podcast now, this radio show podcast. So, hello, introduce yourself for all the people out there.
Hi everyone, I'm Jill Roberts from New Life Rules.
New Life Rules,
yeah.
I obviously know what you do, but yeah, that's an interesting name, New Life Rules. So what's the concept behind that name then, New Life Rules?
Well, unwittingly, we all live our lives governed by the rules that we're given in childhood and whatever else. There are beliefs that become our rules that we live life by, and they dictate our results. So New Life Rules can either be New Life Rules or New Life Rules, depending on what works for you. Because when I work with people, I very much work with what they need to do and what's right for them, and just encourage them to be what they want to be.
Right. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense, because all too often we're told growing up, don't do this, don't do that, be quiet, Don't be heard, sit down. Yeah, here's a uniform kid getting that because you could look the same as everyone else. So we're actually... Even though people want us to be entrepreneurial and be ourselves, every parent wants the kids to be themselves. We actually force them to be a carbon copy of everyone else around them, don't we?
And very often parents want their children to be what they weren't themselves.
Yeah.
And in my experience, there's not that many children that actually are asked what they really, really want to do. They're forced into a system perhaps that is dictated by exams. You know yourself, it's dictated by exams, academic ability, and it's not necessarily creative ability or anything else. That's not necessarily taken into account.
Yeah.
And so we're as children, we're forced into little boxes, and we have to fit in this one or that one. And what I do is then enable people to see the boxes that they might have been forced into against their own wishes, and encourage them to be what they really truly would have liked to have been then.
Yeah, and that's a lifetime then of unpicking of that trait or that habit, because it's like a habit, isn't it? It's a way of doing something, isn't it? Because you've done it, you've been something a certain way forever, and I think you make a valid point about kids not being asked what they want, because my lad's just going through his GCSEs, and obviously you have expectations to do certain things, and I'm like, well, actually, he wants to do this, he wants to do that, I think he wants to do that. Why don't we, do that? Let's create that, and as well as the academic stuff, because not everybody's academic, are they?
Not at all. And I wasn't particularly academic, but when I left school, I felt as though I needed to go to teach training college, at the university, or leave school when you were 16. So you follow that education route, but necessarily it's not right. Particularly. So when it came to my own children, I didn't hold academia in great honour, if you like. And my daughter, neither one of my children did sixth form.
Right.
And my daughter went off to be a dancing school. She owns her own dancing school, because at 16 she went to dancing college.
Yeah. Because
I didn't force her into what she wasn't going to be happy doing. And now she's got an incredibly successful dancing school. She's run it for, since she left college. And she's got all the children and their parents that are all part of this community that's fueled by a passion for dancing.
That's brilliant.
And it's absolutely amazing.
Do you want to give her business a shout out?
It's the Just Dance Company, and they've got classes in Bicester and Leamington Spa.
Hey, go and check that out, people. And another plug for another business. Might not while you're here. Might as well, might you? Makes sense.
It's not necessarily the plug for the business, it's plug for the passion.
Yeah.
Because my daughter and her partner believe that my daughter's wish is that every little child should have the facilities to go dancing.
Yeah.
And her dream for a charity is that she would set up a charity to make sure that happens. And recently they went to Disneyland Paris, and it makes me quite emotional, 57 of the children from her dancing school dancing on the stage in Disneyland Paris, which was fantastic. But even better than that, you'd got the mothers of all of those children in absolute bits at the emotion of it, but also the fathers.
Yeah.
And it was the fathers that connected up with that emotion and had tears in their eyes that really got it. Just dancing, and I've heard a lot about it this week, dancing just connects everybody.
Yeah. Like music, innit? Dancing and music. And we had this conversation at the weekend that if people dance, why do we dance at parties? Well, if you look at most animals have some sort of dancing courtship, don't they? You know, birds and what have you all dance. Even insects do some sort of do things to, you know, attract the opposite sex. So yeah, dancing is within us. I think it's a genetic thing within us. So when we do dance, I watched something on the TV the other week where, but by doing the dancing they were doing, it was quite, you know, they had to follow a certain routine. It stimulated the brain. It gave them released, you know, but they were actually mentally better at doing tasks that than the people that weren't dancing. They actually improved their abilities, conjugative ability. That's it. You see me?
One of those.
It's not very good for radio, but my hands are all over at the minute doing all this thing as if I'm...
We're demonstrating here, we know exactly what's going on.
Yeah, anyway, so that's about but that's good because that obviously fits into what you're doing in your business and why you do it. But
more so than that, to just come back to dancing for a minute. If you think about dancing, if you, like, for me, my belief is that a lot of disease is repressed emotion.
Yeah.
If you're dancing, you're not holding on, and I'm demonstrating with my hands here. You're not holding on to anything, are you? It's free expression. You're letting emotion go in a free way.
Yeah.
And demonstrating that. And it was a friend of mine came on my workshop, and she said once I'd left there, she said I realised that I didn't really want to go to Slimming World anymore. It wasn't making me happy. I hated standing on the scales. I wasn't losing weight anyway. So I decided to use that money to go to dancing. She said, and I love throwing myself around a dance floor.
And she's probably lost weight, and she'll lose weight anyway because exercise.
It didn't really matter about the weight, did it? It was just one of those things you think you need to and should do this, and actually dancing makes you happy. Do more of that then. Yeah,
and if you're happy in yourself, then it doesn't matter, does it? And we're all obviously going back to what you were saying before. We're all conditioned to have to look a certain way, have to dress a certain way, have to be a certain size. Yes, health reasons. If you're over a certain weight, then you've got health issues. But actually, if someone is slightly, you know, chubby, for a want of a better word, and it's not really going to damage them in the long term, but they're happy being in that skin and being where they are, well, that's the best place to be. Have the head in it. Is to be happy how you are. Then if you do want to, if you lose weight or forced to lose weight by doing a diet or doing a quick fix, and this obviously we'll talk about this with your business, something that's a quick fix, then as soon as you stop that quick fix, that diet, that protein shake or whatever you're taking, then that stuff that was the reason you was eating in the first place to make you overweight, because most people eat because they're comforting themselves. Let's have it right.
I'm nodding here.
Yeah. So you've got to find out what that issue is to remove it. Then you'd be A, happy in yourself, and B, you probably lose weight because you'd be happy in what you're doing, and you'll naturally won't pick that chocolate bar up to make you feel good because you don't need it because you feel good anyway.
There's that, and it's like we were saying earlier, it's all behaviour. And that behaviour, if it's eating or whatever else it is, it might be drugs, it might be alcohol, it might be even over-exercising. That behaviour is demonstrating something that's going on for you.
Yeah.
It demonstrates a need.
Yeah.
And it's like you say, it's finding that need that gets rid of that need too.
Yeah.
So what is it about you that's fueling that need to eat or over-exercise or drink too much or whatever it is that you do, those dysfunctional behaviours that don't serve you? What is it? Why are you doing that?
Yeah. So because for me, and obviously the thing that you do is not just, from talking to you today, is then not just aimed at business people, then, is it? What you do is not just a business thing.
No, not
I think that's quite an interesting one, because that's what I was believing or thought that's what you did. It was like how people improve the business and what they're doing, but actually it's not. It's encompassing of everybody, really, isn't it? If they,
it doesn't matter whether it's business, relationships, whatever it is in your life, you will do the same thing repeatedly. And that can be within a relationship, it can be within a business, it can be within your life. And you are a person that is then doing these other things in life. And it's that behaviour will show itself in whatever it is.
yeah,
Your relationship with food might be demonstrated or reproduced in a demonstration in your business, whatever it is, because it's a need inside. And it's about getting into that need and why we're doing all of these things.
yeah. So that then the you can obviously help people, and I know you've helped because I know a couple of people that in our circle that we know where they've had a positive change. So, but the difficulty must be getting someone to understand that they need your help in the first place, don't they? So that's why this is quite good, because hopefully people will be sitting there going, "Oh, that's me, that's me, that's me, that's what I do. I do that. I overeat, or I do this, or I do exercise too much." So it's the first thing is people to understand that they've got a need to actually change things, haven't they?
And need to change things. The first thing, it's an awareness.
Yeah.
Awareness is the key to change. So once you become aware of what you're doing, you can change it. Because something that you do without being aware of it, all the unconscious things that we do, before somebody brings it to our attention, we can't do anything to change it, because it's part of our psyche, it's part of what we do. And we'll repeat those patterns until we can deliberately become aware of them and then change them.
Right. So you have people on your course, when they come on your course, they're not coming for one specific thing, are they? So you, as an example, we talked about weight, and that we're just using that as because people can relate to it. So you've not just got a classroom full of people that are coming because they want to shed a few pounds or lose a few inches from the waist. It can be that, it can be something else, it can be a whole range of people in that space.
Absolutely. People come because they want something to be different, and they don't necessarily know what it is, because you can think that you want to change something in your life, but unless you realise what you're actually doing, you don't know that you can change that. So when people come into the room, one of the biggest learnings is that most people in the room all have fears. But before they come in, they don't necessarily know that everybody else has a fear as well.
Yeah.
So it's that
old one.
Yeah,
old chestnut.
That's it.
Yeah.
So they all have fears. Then recognising that, and then each single person is an individual. So whatever one person might want, another person might be different. So when they come in, it's about taking time out for themselves to actually sit and be with who they are. Because how often in life do you actually take time out to say, right, okay, I'm going to sit here still for 10 minutes and just take that time out?
People do it. That's why meditation is quite good, because you think, and you spoke about something else before this show, and that's the probably only place I could think you could do what you're talking about when you're talking about scuba diving under the water, because you've got no noise. You're in the presence, aren't you? Presence tense, aren't you? What's around you? You're not being distracted by other people. Phones as a start. I don't know, I'd get on the waterproof. Phones or internet or anything. You're under the water, so you obviously can't really hear anything either, can you? You can hear sort of some stuff, but nothing really.
But that's mindfulness.
Yeah.
Mindfulness is just simply being here, right now.
Yeah.
With what you can hear, what you can see. And when you're under the water and all you can see is coral and fish and nature and it's just beauty, what else would you really need to be doing? You're not thinking about what you're going to have for lunch or what's in your diary.
Yeah.
It's all, and that's just being in that moment. And you can do that with, while I was away, just recently on holiday, I filmed the clouds and the waterfalls and the lights on the water in Hong Kong.
Yeah.
Because actually, and that's something you can do, is just be in that moment and just watch and just see. And then in that peace that then you've got into that relaxation, then other things can come in. And rather than those voices that go la 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 all the time.
Yeah. Because I think I don't know, I'm going to throw my two penny thing. in the modern world, the modern world society and the whole access to things 24/7 is great in some respects. Absolutely brilliant. I was awake at 3:30 this morning and come down. I got on the internet, check my Facebook page, checking the radio station, checking X, Y, and Z. And I was able to do that. And I'm able to go down the road and park up and do it, or I'll do it on the go, or listen to it. And I think it's great in some respects because we can connect with people 24 hours a day around the globe if we need to, business-wise and all the rest of it, family, friends. So it's got a very positive thing. But I think the flip side of that is we're never switching off, are we?
I was going to say, is that positive? Everybody can be available 24 hours a day.
Yeah, yes, I think there's positivity in it because, as you know, I've got presenters in Australia, Argentina, South Africa. I talk to people in the States. So that, for me, is really positive. I can be sat here during the day and communicate with those people all over the world quite easily. I think it's brilliant, yeah? But with it's a seesaw, isn't it?
Yeah.
Every positive, there's a negative. The negative is it never stops, does it? It never goes away. It can actually be 24 hours plugged in.
It depends on whether that puts pressure on people to be available 24/7.
Yeah.
See, I can remember doing a stress management workshop. It was for legal professionals. And their problem was that it never stopped. So if you sent an email at 10:30 at night, there was an expectation that if you received that email that you would reply. But actually, who dictated that rule that because you receive an email, you have to reply to it? But you can get onto that treadmill that they've sent it, so therefore I have to reply. But actually, the healthy thing is actually, well, I'll reply, but not until 8:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
And then once the first person stops replying to the email, it's broken that pattern. And it's almost like being given permission to have time off.
Yeah.
Because, okay, you communicate with Australia, there's a different time, so therefore it's beneficial for you, both of you and Australia, so that you can communicate at that same time, so, to be up at night. But when that's putting pressure on you to do something that is bad for your health or doesn't make you happy, that's when it becomes intrusive. And also an obligation to do it rather than, I'll just do this because it makes me happy.
Yeah, and you're spot on, and I noticed that a bit back where I seem to be getting a lot of information coming through the old Facebook and stuff, and obviously realised that if I didn't respond or reply to or make a comment on a post, or I didn't put a post out, I won't get that comment back, that notification. I mean, now I'm often you sat there and I got notification after notification after notification, and you're right, it's like, oh God, there's another notification now. There's no stop, there's no let up from it. But yeah, you're right, you have to break that cycle some way and say, well, actually, I don't particularly need this. What am I doing? I think social media is I think that's the modern overeating. I think it's the modern overeating because, how much you're getting stimulated by this, by the likes and by the interactions you're getting on a regular basis, and the things, I need to respond, but actually you don't. If you just hold back a bit and be a bit more aloof and not as available, then that would be a lot better, because people respect it if you say, I'm not available these times. But we're being subliminally conditioned by everything, like we have been throughout our lives, that this is the culture of what we do. No one's written the rules about it.
Where did that expectation come from, that if somebody sent you a text or a message that you had to reply straight away?
I don't know. I think it's just become. I think us.
I think we made it up.
We've done it ourselves, haven't we? No one said, well, we're introducing these text messages now, guys, for you all, because it was actually done. That text message came from some engineers, didn't it? Somewhere, computer engineers. And it was the way they communicated with each other, and it ended up being SMS messaging, text messaging. That's why I think Twitter was only so many characters. Anyway, we'll go into a whole lot of things. So that technology started for me to communicate to you in the same building so we can share information. Great.
Share information that was necessary.
Yeah, but now it's like, oh, what do you mean you didn't reply to my text? Well, yeah, I was in the bath, or I was working. I was in, where have you been?
So when you send a text or an email, a lot of people will send it with an expectation of an immediate reply.
Yeah.
And me personally, I don't live on email or reply straight away. And somebody say, I sent you an email. I said, but at what point did I sign a contract that because you send me an email, I have to send you one back?
Exactly. I know. We put ourselves under. We create these pressures of everybody, and it's going back to what we were saying earlier on about cars and houses, and and the latest designer wear things that we talk about on the radio show, they don't make you happy. There's no need for them, is there? You know, you can have something that's functional. But going back to wrapping all that up and taking it back a step, the issue that I think we've got is people understanding that they've got a problem, isn't it? That they've got a problem with overeating, overdrinking. Do you think people know? Do you think people know? Do you think people generally know they've got an issue and sort of try and kid themselves that they're all right?
Well, we sabotage our success, don't we?
Yeah.
And that's something that when you learn that you sabotage your success you sabotage your success to keep yourself safe. So if you believe that being slim and attractive might cause you to be in some danger, you will then eat so that you don't get yourself into that danger.
Oh.
And these behaviours that we have are all designed, as I said, to keep us safe. So we, as human beings, our subconscious will do anything to keep us out of danger.
Yeah.
And this is where recognising your fears and your beliefs can actually enable to do something different, because you'll realise how you sabotage your success to stay in, you know, your comfort zone. We live in comfort zones.
Right.
We have a barrier around that, you know, we're comfortable doing this, but one step beyond it might be too much.
Yeah.
For instance, people will stay in a relationship that they're not particularly happy in because they may fear being on their own. So the fear of being on their own
is
greater than the uncomfortableness of being in the relationship that they're not happy in.
Yeah, that makes sense. And there's a lot of people like that, aren't there? Oh, we're staying together because of the kids.
No, I'm staying with you because I'm afraid of being on my own. And that's huge, and that plays out in so many relationships. There's so many people fear being on their own.
Yeah.
But if they didn't have that fear, they could leave that relationship. And that works with other things. You know, I might be uncomfortable being overweight, but I'm eating this because it fulfills a need in me. I might be lonely, I might be any one of those things. I do this to fulfill that need and keep me safe within wherever I am.
Okay, that's good. So, in your workshops and your work, then what's your I don't expect you to go into all the detail, but what you sort of do with people to get them? Because if we, using the weight example, if we want to lose weight, the natural thing is to go to somewhere like Weight Watchers or Slimming World. Other slimming solutions are available. All that nonsense. Because we know we want to lose weight, we go to this class. They weigh us every week. They give us a menu to pick from. They give us some rules and say you can have this much calories, or you can have this many sheets, or you can have this. Cheers. See you next week. Come back. Oh, I've lost 2 pounds. Not lost 2 pounds.
Right.
So what happens in your...
Well, let me just go back to that then.
Yeah.
Why do people go to slimming clubs? They say to lose weight, but actually there's a whole process around that. It's why do they go? There's other people in the same boat.
Yeah.
They can connect to those people, so it gives them connection, friendship. They know that they're not alone. They know that there's other people out there that are the same. There's an awful lot rather than just I need to lose weight, so I'm going to go there.
Yeah.
Because people know that they need to lose weight, but actually sometimes that's the very thing that they need to hold on to. So if somebody comes to me with a weight problem, we look at basically what's going on. What's the need? Why are they overeating? What does that represent? What does food mean to you?
Yeah.
What are you getting when you eat this? How does it make you feel? All of those things. And so it's very complex because each one of us is an individual, and we do things for ourselves. So we develop all these behaviours for ourselves and for our own safety. And it's recognising that and what you're doing that enables you then to change it.
Yeah, no, good. I like that. Really good. You're a really good point, because I know we're talking about food a lot here, but people can relate to it. I could eat the same thing for tea, like for weeks. It wouldn't bother me, because as far as I'm concerned, it's just food. It's going in. And yeah, we'll go out for it. If we go out for a meal, then I like because we have nice food. I like to go out. It has to be something special to go out eating, because I go out and compare it to what we've got at home and go, oh, we could have made better than this ourselves. But I could actually literally have something night after night after. And I know some people can't do that, because I think, well, I'm hungry. It's just going to fill me up, and it's the right sort of food, and that's what I need. I'm not going.
And that's what food is to you. So
Yeah.
I need something to fill me up, and so I eat food. But look at all the different messages we have as children around food. And what we learn about food, we have birthday cakes on birthdays, so we attach cake with celebration.
Oh, I love it.
And you said about going out to eat, we go out because, this is different food than we have at home. And so then it's about going out to eat, and it's what you do, and it's your friends that you're out eating with. It's not necessarily
the food. Yeah.
The food it's almost like an energy, or it's an excuse or a reason, or whatever else it is. But we don't eat anymore because we're hungry.
No, we don't do it.
No.
And we eat a lot of time. I mean, sometimes I don't even eat. I might even miss breakfast or miss lunch sometimes because I'm busy doing stuff and think, I'm not really hungry. I'll have a piece of fruit. Not because I'm trying to lose weight, just like I'm not really that bothered, Yeah, you're right. I never thought about that. The links to things like the cake, that makes perfect sense. Don't you get a treat, don't you?
A treat. Why would a treat be a sweet?
No, that's what it is, though, isn't
it? And so we've associated this, if you're good, then you can have this.
Yeah.
This lollipop or whatever.
Yeah.
So why? So you can see the connection we've made between food and happiness, or food and company, or food. So why would people not sit at home and eat if they're feeling lonely?
Yeah.
Because that food might be, families used to have meal times where they had conversation, and the food was part of that community and the family. But now, how many people have that meal where they connect with each other? They don't. So the food's become a representation of something else.
Yeah. Yeah, you actually spot on with that. That's the fact that sort of, that tradition is broke down. We do try to eat as much as we can together as a family, because guess what? You talk about things that you don't talk about when you're in passing, because you're static at that place, aren't you?
That's right.
You're in one place,
and you've got the attention of the other people there.
And you sort of, I think the food, that in that instance, the food allows you to be. It's an excuse to not say anything for a minute because I can munch on this and I can think about what you've asked me and I can respond to you. That's a really good point. I never thought about that.
And you've just said that this food can be an excuse not to have to say anything for a moment. And it's when you say, what do? I pick up on what people say to me. So I've just heard you say this food could be an excuse not to have to speak. This food could be an excuse for this. This food could be an excuse for whatever.
Yeah.
And each single person will give you a different excuse for doing what they do. And it's that then when you bring that to somebody's awareness, you think, oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. Well, they see. I shouldn't have done this interview. It's getting inside my head, people.
Not done this interview.
You've done this before, haven't you? But yeah, and I like that. I like how you're doing it. And I try and relate things that people can relate to. That's why we've focused on one particular thing. But there's other aspects in this. There's self-harm, there's alcohol abuse. There's also, even people are sex addicts that they're not doing it for the actual, I'm not trying to be rude here, but they're doing it because they're associated somewhere, aren't they?
It's behaviour.
Yeah. Like Russell Brand was a classic one. He was like not happy with what he was doing. But he was doing it, and he's come out the other end. And anyway, it's another subject.
What I love about Russell Brand is he's honest about all that, and then people can realise that you just swap one addiction for another.
Yeah.
And if you haven't fulfilled that need, as you just said, then you will. I can be addicted to drugs, I can stop that one, and then I'll be addicted to sex, and then I'll be addicted to something else.
So it's getting back to what you do, is find out
why you're doing
what's the underlying cause of that. So and obviously you're picking up on stuff that I'm saying to you. So, and that's what you do in your workshops then. How do people find that then? Because obviously when you're doing it in a workshop environment, then there's some of that stuff that you get into. How do people react to you doing your group classes?
First of all, the most important thing about doing the work I do in the group is that everybody feels safe.
Mm-hmm.
So nobody has to say anything. You can share what you like to share. And we hold things in confidence so people feel safe so that they can share things with other people. And there's great respect within the group for people actually opening up and saying what they will. And the other members of the group to keep that safe for them.
And do they then become a bit almost after the event, as it were, a network of support system? Have you found that happens?
They
afterwards?
can be, but I generally it's the lovely feedback that I get that people have gone off and made a difference, and they'll report back to me and say, "You'll never guess what I've done. I've just done this, or I've just done." Like I said about my friend going dancing instead of to swimming club. And then other people they've realised the belief they've got that once they've stopped, once they've changed that belief, they can do other things. Ladies come in, she wanted to retire, but she wasn't quite sure what she was going to do, so she's going to hold her business. But you know what her passion was? She wanted to paint.
Yeah.
So she went home to get her easel and the canvas and the paints, and brought me back then the picture that she'd painted. And so it's about people feeling safe to share what they've got to share, and then actually just having a look at themselves and actually what really makes them happy, where they are, what they're doing. Are they happy doing that?
Yeah.
It's about their identity, it's about their comfort zone, lots of different things. But the main thing is just actually taking time out for themselves, just to be in that space.
Yeah, and then obviously once you identify what, and you might not always remove something, might you? I know, for example, I'm not always very good at being a completer finisher, or there's other things that I do. So I'm aware of that, what foible or whatever. So I have to focus on that really hard to finish things off, because I'm a bit of a scatterbrain, but with that chaos comes my creative side, which
But creatives aren't necessarily creatives and completer finishers are two different personality types, and one needs the other.
Yeah.
But we can't all be everything to everybody.
No.
So if you're a creative, then instinctively you need to complete a finisher, or to put that bit into your personality that you haven't got to get things done.
Yeah, and so the individual that come to your course, I'll work with you on one, because you do one-on-one stuff as well, don't you? Which some people might prefer one-on-one. So they come to you. It's about stripping it back to where, and getting to the proper issue for them to realise what the issue is, and then be able to then come back and either put things in place, or identify, I'm not good at that, or I'm good at that. I love doing that. I hate doing that.
But you've just said there, and that's something that I can imagine would scare most people, stripping it right back.
Right. Because
don't forget, people have got these behaviours, and they do what they do to keep themselves safe. So if you said to somebody, come along, we'll strip it right down to the bare bones, and we'll build it back up from there, it would terrify most people.
Okay.
And it's not about that. It's about people being comfortable with just learning about themselves little by little.
Right.
And changing this and changing that as they feel comfortable with it, because then you can't make huge changes overnight, because how would that work in your life? You can't come in and go out and be a completely different person. But what you can do is make the changes that will take you in the right direction.
Got it.
And be aware of what you're doing here, so that as you go out and you find more instances in life, that you recognise you do that, and then it gives you the ability to change. And you might notice that you want to do something else rather than what you're doing.
Yeah.
A lot of people come in and they're unhappy in their work, and when they look at it, they just don't want to do the job that they're doing. They want to do something else, but they believe that they have to get another job to do that. But there might be other ways.
Yeah. And that's why you're doing what you're doing, and I'm not doing, because I'll be getting them to strip it all back. Let's strip it up, and then where's everyone gone? I'd go to come back, and all the room,
run out.
The room would be empty. Right.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Here we go. Yeah, you make a really, and I like that.
That's the valid thing is, it's designed for people to be safe.
And those small steps, because if you want to, I don't know, run a marathon next year, you don't wait until a month before and then try and do 26 miles, over the next week. You start off by you might actually walk a mile, and that might be the start of your training regime, might it?
You might want to start with asking yourself why you want to run the marathon.
Yeah.
Because everything starts with a decision, and then the motivation comes from the energy. So yes, your marathon's going to be your end result, and yes, you know how far you're going to have to run, but why are you doing it? Because it's that why you're doing it that will fuel your motivation to keep you going to get to the goal.
Oh, she's good, isn't she? She's good. And I was trying
to been said.
I was trying to relate that to what you were saying about the steps. So my understanding of what you've said there is that, I'm using the marathon example, is so you're talking about, we do steps, we're not going to strip it back, and we're not going to do this thing that's going to scare you. So I'll tell you what, for us to get to that goal, which we've now decided you want to get to, and that's what you do in the class, well, actually, if you did this mile walk, and then in a week's time then started stepping up to, jogging a little bit, half of it, and then before you know it, you're doing a mile and 2 miles and 3 miles, and then you get to all those extra bits.
But that would be me telling them what to do.
Yeah.
I don't tell people what to do, because people know themselves what they need to do. So it's about being aware of that and asking what's right for you. So if you were going to run the marathon, what would be the first step for you? What would you do?
What would I do? I'd work, me personally, I'd work out how long I'd got from now till when the marathon was going to be.
Right.
Work out how fit I was at the minute, so how far can I run? I'd probably get on the treadmill and run it. And then I'd go, well, actually, I've got from now to that, if I can improve myself by a percentage every week, by the time I get to there, and then what do I've got to eat and all that sort of stuff. Do I need to get some? That's what I do. What trainers do I need? What clothing should I wear? Should I get a training partner? Should I do it on my own? I'm already there. I'm not doing a marathon, by the way. I don't want to do. I've got no intention.
I ask myself, what do I need?
Correct. And if you just said do that, I'd be oh, I like that. I like it. She's twisting it around. I like she's done that.
Okay, so tomorrow, if you're going to run the marathon, tomorrow you go out and run a mile. What are you going to do?
Yeah, miles might be too much for me. I'm not sure.
Whereas
Can I do a mile on Friday instead?
Are you going to do that, really?
I don't know. I might do. Yeah.
Now, your face is completely different now than it was when you're like, oh, yeah.
I've got it. Yeah. But now, if I was doing it, I'd work out. That is brilliant. I love what you've done there. And that is just proves what you do. You've actually, really good. Because you're right. I'd want to do it myself and work out my way. That's great. I really like that.
But everybody wants to work it out their way. Everybody has a right way for them. And that right way for them might not be the right way for me. And the most interesting thing is if I'm working with somebody one-to-one or in a group and they'll come back and they say, you told me to do this. I'm much like you. I go, I didn't tell you to do anything. The voice in your head told you that that was the right thing for you. And it sounded as though I'd said it to you.
Or I've failed, as quote unquote, failed. And because that's the way you told me to do it. That's what they're saying to you sometimes, aren't they?
You failed. Where's this failed come in?
This is just my perception. Yeah, it's like anything, losing weight or whatever, or doing the marathon, and you've told me to do it this way. It's a lot of time, people's excuse by blaming somebody else. Yeah, so I'm putting it back onto you, saying, you
told me to run a mile.
You told me to run a mile, Jill. No, I didn't. You told me. So I didn't do the mile because I didn't really want it. You told me to do it, and anyway, that's.
But in fact, what I did say was, if you were running a marathon, what would you do?
I like it, yeah.
And you told me what you would do.
I had it all sussed. I
know you can do it.
I know I'm going to do it now, but I'm not doing it. I've got no intention. I've got no intention of doing a marathon. No way.
But it's the same process for anything you want to do.
I like
this is my intention. Okay, how could I make that happen?
I love it. Never
and
thought
then
of it that way.
You will get the right answers for you.
I took a lot away from this because I'm going to use that.
Good.
I'm going to use that. That's really good. Yeah, it's really good because it's taking it back to children, things like that. And I think that's a good example for people that have got kids. Not everyone's got kids, but they've obviously can see what people do. It's like you was talking earlier about foisting what we want them to be and what we wanted to be and do it this way. And that's why I think you get a lot of pushback from, especially when you get teenagers, because it gets to the point where they've got their own decisions, their own voices, and they go, parents.
And the pressure and the unhappiness.
Do this now. I had a great example. I had a great example with my son, similar sort of thing. He hadn't done a certain amount because, it wasn't an excuse, but you told me to do this. Teachers told me to do that. You told me to do this, so I'm doing this. Oh, really? You should be doing that. Well, yeah, but I'm listening to what you're telling me. It wasn't an excuse. It was, that's what you want me to do.
And that's and so many of us get caught up in pleasing other people rather than pleasing ourselves. So who's your son pleasing? You or the school? But actually,
he's not pleasing anyone. And then he's depressed, and then fed up, and then you say something, and then the balloon goes up, and all the rest of it. Yeah, similar to what you're saying. I had a really good conversation with him last week. We spent about an hour in the kitchen doing a bit of cooking, a bit of chatting, a bit of talking, and. Some pennies, as we would say, started to drop, which was great.
The power of conversation.
Which was nice to see. I love what you're doing, Jill, and I'm glad we've had this conversation and we'll be able to share it. We're able to share it with people because it explains more what you're doing than people can get out of a quick conversation with you or a quick networking meeting or whatever you do. It gets some really good examples there, very simple examples.
I'd like to share one more with you, and it's about homework. and somebody was saying, I think it was only yesterday, that the children had gone into school and the teacher had said to them, you can do your homework and don't bring it back until it's perfect. And it reminded me of a time when I was at a festival, and one of the young girls, actually from my daughter's dance school, it was the first time she'd sung on stage, and she got some feedback, and she came off stage and she said, oh, this wasn't right, it wasn't perfect. And do you know what I said to her? Can I say something to you? And she looked at me and I said, there is no such thing as perfect.
No, there's not.
And if you are hoping that anything you do is perfect, you are setting yourself up for a lifetime of failure. You're 14, and if you learn that now, that will stand you in good stead.
Yeah.
And she looked at me and she was young, but actually it was her granny that said, what was that you said? I said, if you expect anything to be perfect, you will never achieve it, and you will set yourself up for failure for the rest of your life.
Yeah, you're right.
There is no such thing as perfection.
There's no. And there's different varying degrees of what people are able to accept. As an example, when we was setting up the AMI radio station, if I'd have waited till it was all perfect and in place, it'd have took us probably now. We'd have only been launching now. We've been launched 3 months ago. We launched in a week, and people were saying, we've not got this, and we've not got that, and we've not got this. I said, yeah, but we've got this, and this. We've got the basis. We can go to air. We've got music. We've got presenters. Yeah,
and it's never going to be
We've
perfect.
not got a website, and we've not got this, we've not got that. But guess what, guys? I'd rather go now with 80% than wait another 3 months to go with 90-odd%.
And you're never going to get 100%.
You're never going to get it, and you'll never be happy with it. And Anna, like stuff now, you're critiquing things all the time, aren't you? Changing your logos, changing what you say to people, changing how you look, you're constantly evolving, so it's never going to be right, is it?
No, you don't have to get it right, you just have to get it going.
I love that. I think we might wrap up on that.
I think so.
Absolutely wonderful. It's been great to talk to you. Thanks for spending the time with us today and coming on to the impromptu show that we did before this, which was great.
It was fantastic.
So where can people get hold of you, Jill? Because we've not even mentioned that throughout this.
They can get hold of me at New Life Rules, so that's newliferules.com.
Yeah.
And if they how can they contact me through here? I need my telephone number.
Well, you might not want to give your telephone number out. I'd go to New Life Rules.
And Jill at newliferules.com
cool.
is my email address.
And what we'll do, if you listen to this on the podcast, all information will be in the show notes. There'll be links to your website and things like that. People will be able to get hold of you quite easily. If anyone's got any trouble, you can always go over to duggystoneradio.com. Contact me. That's another hit on my website, see?
Yeah, absolutely. We like it.
I'm sure they'll find you, Jill. I'm sure they'll find you. So thanks very much for joining us today.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Keep changing lives.
Absolutely.
Keep asking those questions. What do you want to do?
Before I go, then I'll just show you one last thing.
Oh, go on.
Just before Christmas, a guy that had come on the workshop had made a huge change in his life. Sent me a text saying, I woke up thinking about you this morning, Jill, and your journaling. Here's to fresh starts. Thank you. You're my Christmas.
Oh.
That's why I do what I do.
That's lovely, isn't
You're
it?
my Christmas.
My Christmas.
Oh,
wonderful.
Lovely.
Right. Thanks, Jill.
Thank you.
Cheers. Well, I hope you enjoyed that, people. Thanks, Jill, for stopping by, spending a few hours with me. So this was a show special. It was sponsored by none other than newliferules.com. Go and check it out. She certainly knows what she's talking about, doesn't she? Anyway, this has been The Duggystone Show. Oh, yeah. Yeah, so if you'd like to be part of this podcast series, then drop me a line at duggystoneradio.com and I'll tell you all about it and how you can get involved. So yeah, please go and check out Jill Roberts at newliferules.com. Until next time, people, see ya! The Duggystone.